Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. So today is the day before the um Virginia, or not just the Virginia governor race, but the 2021 elections. So, and the three elections that I'm going to be covering, of course, is going to be the Virginia governor race, New Jersey governor race, as well as the New York City mayor race. As yeah, that last one's gotten a bit interesting. Actually, all three of these races have gotten really interesting lately. It's weird, but I'll talk about that later on today. It'll be a 4 o'clock video, and I'll get to that whenever. I'm actually recording this video the Saturday before the election, so I'll record that video probably the day of, if I had to guess. Actually, yeah, probably after I get off school, I'll probably get my margins together and record that video. So, yeah, ignoring all that, that's just a little update for y'all on what's going to happen later today. Today, we're going to be doing a interesting video that I actually thought up of while I was working one day. I thought, what would happen if the 1792 election were to occur to today? And then another another idea popped into my head of doing, what if every election happened today? So, let's just take a look at all of that. So how I'm doing this is the events from 1793 all the way up to now to 1796. Yes, so from 1792 to 1793 to 1796. So Nixon had just become president, Watergate occurred, blah blah blah, blah, or whatever. And so, who would win the election? Is what I'm trying to get at, and I'm just bad at explaining things apparently. So, who would win, Gerald Ford or Jimmy Carter? Jimmy Carter is, or we can also just say who would win an election hypothetically today, just based off of these two. Let's just do that. Let's not complicate things. Let's just say who'd win an election today. Let's just do that. So we're going to say that these two are the same age as they were back in 1790 or 1972. Have I been saying that this entire time? Jesus Christ. I'm awful at this. Back in 1976, that's how old they are right now, keeping their popularity and everything. So, as well as their running mates. So who would win? Let's start filling out safe states. I don't think anyone will be upset at me calling any of these race is safe. Minnesota is safe. Walter Mondale was very popular in the state. There is no fucking way that Minnesota isn't safe today. Illinois would be safe, absolutely. Virginia would be safe. Southern Appeal, Carter would have. All of the Northeast would be safe, with the exception of New Hampshire. There you go. I actually think Maine at large would be safe as well. Now, these safe Republican states, of course, Alaska, actually, I don't think Alaska would be safe, and I'll explain why later. All of these states right up in here, except all of Nebraska, except the 2nd Congressional District. I actually think Texas would be safe. Actually, no, let's not do that, actually. I don't think Texas would be safe. Yeah, Missouri will be safe. Let's just start filling out. South Carolina won't be safe. Indiana, there we go. There we go, we got all the safe states. So, this is the starting off map. Jimmy Carter has 216 electoral votes to Gerald Ford's 113 electoral votes. I almost said 313. Man, I am off my game today. Okay, so let's start going through this map. We have I think, Arizona will go likely Ford. Gerald Ford is a traditional Republican no, let's not do that. Is a traditional Republican, establishmentarian Republican. Those Republicans do very well in Arizona. Take a look at Doug Ducey, John McCain. He would do very well here. He'd win it by around 5 points, even with today's climate. He wouldn't win Texas. Let's see, any other likely Republican states? Actually, South Carolina. He'd win South Carolina by around 8 points. Jimmy Carter, being from the state of Georgia, helps him in all these southern states. Very popular in the South, if you can't tell, or at least was back then. That'd probably carry over to today. And so that's all these safe. Alaska would be likely. Oof, caught myself. Alaska, he'd probably win Alaska by around 8 percentage points, 8 or 9 percentage points. And I'm not putting COVID in this. This is just a straight battle between these two with current trends and all that. So we're not implicating COVID at all. But Gerald Ford would probably win Alaska. Alaska's been trending more and more to the left. And it's starting, and it's still going to be a libertarian state. It's just now preferring Democrats rather than Republicans, unless Alaska is pulling a Oregon 2016 on us and going to be shoot back up to a near 20-point win, 16, 17-point win for the Republicans in 2024, which probably happens, probably. Time for likely Democrat states. New Mexico is likely. Carter probably wins that by around 8 points. And he probably wins Georgia by a likely margin, probably wins it by 6 points. Carter is just massively popular there. And even the name Carter is still popular, given a 2014 red wave year where Georgia should not have been won under double digits with a relatively popular incumbent in Nathan Deal, where Jimmy Carter's, I think his son, Jason Carter, ended up only losing by 8 when he should have lost by double digits and didn't. If he were to run for governor today, he'd probably win by 3 points at least. Please run again, Jason Carter. Any other states? He probably wins Michigan by a likely margin by around 6 points or by 5 or 6 points. Nothing too crazy like that. Carter would do very well in the Rust Belt, and I'm probably gonna make a couple calls that are gonna make people upset, but oh well, I don't care. New Hampshire probably likely margin as well. Probably wins it by 5 points. It'd be close. It'd be very close to lean. Actually, you know what? It will be lean since I already called it. Rockefeller would definitely help Carter enough and would actually help Ford enough to in the New Hampshire as well as Maine 2nd District, which we'll get here in a second. And I've also changed what I originally had in Maine 2nd District, and I'll tell you what I originally had it here in a second. So, since we're doing Lane Carter states now, let's just keep filling it out. I don't think Nevada. No, I do think North Carolina would go to Jimmy Carter, which does give him the election. He doesn't need any tilt states. Fuck them tilt states. Carter just wins it by 200. Wins with his 2 lean states. All of his safe and likely states as well as 2 lean states. That's all he needs. North Carolina, he probably wins it by around 1%. It'd be very close to tilt. North Carolina's probably not gonna go past 4 points for any candidate. Roy Cooper won it by 4 points, and that's the farthest anyone will go. Steve Troxler, the Agriculture Commissioner, did win by 7 points, but that was a very low turnout election. He was going up against a far-left Democrat who wanted to get rid of all of our cows in the state, and she wanted to export all of our cattle out of state. It sounds crazy, but that's exactly what they wanted to do. It's fucking insane. Which is why she lost, and it was just very low turnout election compared to the other elections. Pennsylvania is also a lean state, as well as Wisconsin. Carter probably wins those. He probably wins Pennsylvania by 3 points, Wisconsin by 2 points. And here's a call that's going to upset a few people. I do think that Carter would win Iowa by a similar margin to what he would win North Carolina by a lean margin. He'd probably win Iowa by around 1% or less. He would also win Nebraska's 2nd Congressional District by a lean margin. He'd probably win it by 2 or 3 points. He would do very popular in the Omaha region, and the Omaha suburbs, which would get him over the finish line. So there you go. Now we have our lean Gerald Ford states. We would have Nevada. That would go to Gerald Ford. He'd probably win it by around 1 or 2 points. He would do well with Hispanics, as Republicans are starting to do. I think any Republican would do well with Hispanics, unless a Republican who isn't batshit crazy on the immigration issue, like Joe Biden has been, as well as some of the far left, and if they can make their point clear that they're not that crazy on that issue, then they could probably win Hispanics back. But Gerald Ford, who would definitely be the immigration-friendly, or excuse me, the anti-immigration candidate between these two, Hispanics would probably go to Gerald Ford, which is crazy to think that Hispanics love Trump's immigration policy. It's just amazing that after years of Democrats saying that they're going to hate it, they actually do love it. Well, at least they love it to the point where, they'd vote for a Republican rather than a Democrat based off of what we've seen. Texas, that would also go in lean as the changing demographics are going to continue. Carter would do very well in southern Texas, as to a point where Biden couldn't do. Hispanics, progressive Hispanics, left-wing independent Hispanics did not want to turn out for Joe Biden. In South Texas, they would absolutely come out for Jimmy Carter this time around, but Ford would probably still win the state by around 2 to 3 percentage points. And he would also win Maine's 2nd District by a lean margin. I originally had this going to Jimmy Carter by a lean margin, but then I remembered, wait, hold on a second. Gerald Ford's his running mate, or Rockefeller's his running mates. What the fuck am I thinking? Ford will probably win it by around 2 percentage points, 2 or 3, with Rockefeller on the ballot, on the ticket with him. If it was anyone other than Rockefeller, then he'd probably lose it by around the same margin to Carter. Now we have 2 tilt states, one of which is going to go to Gerald Ford, and the other is going to go to Jimmy Carter. I do think that Gerald Ford will end up winning Maine. Or, excuse why? What is wrong with me today? He'll end up winning Ohio by around like 0.2, 0.3%, while Jimmy Carter will end up winning Florida by a tilt margin. Gerald Ford winning Ohio is just kind of I don't see it going to Carter. I don't think enough. However, it'd be very close. John Cranley, the Cincinnati mayor from Ohio, who is very conservative on the vaccine mandate issue as well as the mask mandate issue. He's a Democrat, by the way. I don't think he would win unless it was a blue wave year. But of course, he would make Mike DeWine sweat. He would make any Republican sweat statewide, just saying. He would do well in the urban areas, the suburban areas, as well as the rural areas, which that's why they'd make him sweat. But I don't think Carter has enough of appeal, even with Mondale on the ballot, to overcome that rural turnout, as Ohio's urban areas are a lot smaller than Iowa's, as you can win around 33% of the, you can look at any of Chuck Grassley's Senate runs, you can only win that one county, that mostly urban county in Iowa, and you could get 30% or more of the vote. In Ohio, you can't really do that. So that's why Ohio would go red in this scenario, because their urban areas aren't as big as they are in Iowa. So there you go. And I have Iowa as, lean. I'm sorry. I think Carter would do well enough in the that county. I'm not going to be stupid. I am thinking of Johnson County. I'm sorry, I'm like having an off day. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be having these off day. The reason why I say Carter would win in Florida, I think he'd do very well with Southern Cubans. That his socially conservative policies would win over the whole Cuban thing, and the fact that he's not a socialist, they'll be willing to vote for him rather than an establishment Republican, as they don't have a tendency to vote for establishment Republicans unless they are Cuban. With a good example being Marco Rubio and Rick Scott. Rick Scott didn't win Cuban voters, didn't win the Cuban vote, didn't win that whole thing. He didn't win there. However, Marco Rubio does well with Cuban voters because he's Cuban. They're both establishment Republicans. Well, you can't really say that about Rick Scott anymore. You could have before the whole 2020 election thing. However, he's trying to distance himself from the establishment, failing, by the way, in my opinion, by that vote. But that whole thing, I'll let you decide. I think he's a very establishment politician who's only trying to kiss Trump's ass, as many of them do. And we also have Marco Rubio, who only does so well with Cubans because he's also a Cuban. So, there you go. That's the map. Jimmy Carter wins 338 electoral votes. He actually wins the majority of states this time around, unlike he did back in 1976. And Gerald Ford only wins 200 electoral votes. Tell me what you think of this map. Tell me that it's awful. Tell me it's great. This is the Chaotic One saying, peace.